All right, what's up, guys? Let's see if this is working. I can't tell right now. It's been a while since I've streamed. Looks like it should be working, but I just can't see right now any details. Okay. Okay, I think we're live. And I'm just going to confirm that audio is working. Audio is and probably should be working. Yes, you can hear me. And my video is working. So that's me. All right, looks good. What's up, everyone? So we have some people coming in right now. Hey, if you're just watching the stream right now, just say hi. Be aware that the stream is for subscribers only. If you subscribe to my channel and just wait 1 minute, you'll be able to chat with me. Hey, Patricia, what's up? Welcome. And MT Sajibu, what's up? Welcome to the stream. And guys, if you are just getting in here, I'm curious what your everybody share your progress on the SAT practice test so far. What was the first ever score you got on the reading, writing, and on the math? And then what's the most recent score you got on the reading, writing, and on the math? And then we can go from there with the questions. So actually, I wonder, is there like an announcement feature? I don't think there is, right? Here, let me see. Oh, my YouTube chat isn't showing up. I'll fix that real quick. Let me fix that up. Okay, now the chat should be showing. Yes. Over here. Dude, I am like challenged over here. Okay, we got the chat now. All right, so hey, welcome to the stream, everybody. If you're just getting in, everybody let's get started by sharing what score you got on the first practice test or your first. You can start with the first real test or your first practice test. Either way, first practice test on the English and on the math. What was your first ever score? And then now, your most recent practice test, what score did you get on the English and the math? And then you can add whatever other struggles or details that you want, and we can start chatting from there. So welcome to the stream, everybody. Everybody, I hope you are kids. I hope with the SAT coming up tomorrow, your confidence is at the place that it should be. Hopefully whatever you've been doing for the last month or two has been improving your confidence over time. But if it hasn't, then this is the time to talk about it and do some last minute sort of emergency procedures to help you boost your confidence before going to tomorrow's test. So again, I feel like more people are just going to be filtering in. Come on and let me know, just like Patricia did. What was your first ever practice test score on the reading, writing, and on the math? And then what is your most recent practice test score? If you can't chat right now, it's because you're not a subscriber. If you subscribe and just give me, and just wait like 1 minute, you should be able to send those chats. This just helps me to avoid like people saying creepy things to me because I think kids like being creepy. So it just kind of pisses me off and just kind of annoys me. So I'm just going to avoid that altogether by locking it down to subscribers. All right, so that's it for me right now. I'm going to just do a bit of, I want to be able to like just make that quick announcement. So I'm going to look into YouTube if there's any features for something like that, but I don't know if I see anything like that. Start a poll, start a Q&A, answer viewer questions live. Start a Q&A, answer viewer questions live. What the heck is this? I'm going to try this. Amit, what's up? And Patricia, I'm going to come back to your question in just a second, but after I try this thing. So what was your first ever English SAT? Okay, Q&A. Oh, what the heck? So if I do that, then does the chat change? Does that like make the chat go away? What does that look like? No, the chat stays there, right? Huh, that's kind of interesting. I wonder what it looks like. I'm gonna look at my own, I'm gonna look at my own thing here to see what it looks. Oh, it just looks like a Okay, it just looks like the question is just up at the top. Okay, that's pretty good. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is just like an endless loop of me looking at myself. So let me close that. Let me close that out right now. All right. 550 English. I'm seeing 550 on English. And earlier, Patricia was saying he went from 520 to 720 on English. Damn. Very, very, very. That's a huge jump. Patricia, maybe you should be the one teaching. What was your secret? What did you do to go 200 points up on the reading? Now, obviously on the math as well. If anyone has questions for Patricia, Patricia went from 680 on math to 790 on math. So that's a strong performance as well, because you know you can't get that much better than 790, right? so so 520 English to 720 English. Patricia, I am curious for you, like how many. What your practice test regimen was, what you did to get to that point, and if you have any tips for anybody. Ahmed went from 600 to 720, also a big jump, actually, same landing point as Patricia. Patricia and Ahmed both landed at 720. So big improvement on your reading. Good job. And cooking isn't breaking out the reading, but you know that's a solid 180 point increase on your overall math and English and math scores. So very, very good. Cooking 800. I hope that you serve up a good dish tomorrow. So again, if we have some more people coming in, just for anybody who's just joining the stream right now, go ahead and share with us your first ever English score and your most recent practice test score. And then if you have any questions on if you have any worries about what to do, how to like prepare for tomorrow, basically, I'll come and chat. I'll share my thoughts on whatever you guys are struggling with right now. Okay, so let me know what that is. Okay. So while I'm sort of just waiting for people to say stuff, I will just add the most important thing, by the way, the day before the SAT is not to do like last minute like review of new concepts. If you're going to review anything, you should be reviewing old concepts. So stay away from new concepts, please. It's not going to improve your confidence at all. And honestly, the most important thing you can do at a sort of strategy or technique level is to just solidify your approach and to commit to a particular approach to the SAT. So if you've watched, so Patricia is saying he watched my videos and just tried to mimic me. And then for practice, he did all the question bank questions and the previous DSATs, which no comment, but whatever. Previous DSATs. I'm going to assume that means Blue Book app. Yes, that's the Blue Book app, everybody. So, the Blue Book used the Blue Book SATs. I would say Patricia probably. Patricia, you can always let me know if I'm doing something wrong. If I say something wrong about your current predicament / situation, but like I'm going to assume that what Patricia did was he copied, he stabilized his approach by kind of, since he tried to mimic me, right? He probably started reading the passage a little bit slower and tried to make a prediction for what the answer might be, and then tried to match that answer, right? So I think that's really, like, if that is the approach that you're going to go, that you've been, if you've been prepping a certain approach, the most important thing you can do today is to just commit to that approach, okay? And to just remind yourself that approach is the one you're going to go and see the most success with. And you need to believe in that approach, and you need to not be shaken when that approach is... like tomorrow, you might see some very scary questions, right? It could be literally the first question in Module 2. It might make you feel like you're dumb. Right, this question with not even that hard vocabulary, but you don't understand what it's saying. You don't understand what the passage is saying, so you don't know which direction, logically speaking. Is this supposed to be like? Is this supposed to improve or worsen the the thing, right? The noun or whatever it is, right? Like you don't even know what it's trying to say, and so you feel stupid on question number one. Like imagine if that happens, but imagine if that not only happens on question number one and number two and number three. You have to have an approach that can make you confident that you will still perform well, even if the first three questions of module two kind of screw you. Like you need to believe in the way that you approach the test. And if you don't believe in that, we need to build that belief today, okay? Because you can't keep pushing it off and just be like, oh no, I just need to keep learning more commas and shit. Like it's too late to learn about semicolons, to be honest. Like you have to be like committing to a particular way of solving the test and just reminding yourself that it actually works. Okay, so that would be what I would prioritize today from a strategy standpoint. That said, if you do have random grammar questions, I'm not going to say no. If you have random questions for grammar or reading or whatever, or even vocabulary, I'm happy to just quickly answer any questions like that. So you guys can feel free to ask me any questions you have. Sorry, not MJ, MD, Sajibul, Saibul? I don't know how to pronounce that, but MD is saying that his math score went from, I think, what? Oh, MD is being selective with his information. I think your MD's most recent English score was 550. Yeah, most recent English score was 550, but most recent math score is 790. That's a huge difference. That's actually a crazy difference. And if you're 550 on the English, it means you probably need to spend more time. Honestly, if you're 550 on the English, you're not gonna like. Your priority should be getting module 2 100% correct. Like you should be wanting to get module 2 100% correct. So module 2 is going to be the easy module for you. It's going to feel easier than the first module. So I'm gonna assume that you have more time to study for the SAT, as long as unless you are a senior. If you're a senior, then tomorrow's your final SAT before early decision. Then I think you kind of have to just accept that your performance is not going to be that good, and you'll have to rely more on your math. But if you're not a senior, then you probably should think long term about your English. You want to improve your English from 550, and you really 50, 60 points on English. I mean, 50, 60 points on English doesn't come for free. And I think cooking, if I remember correctly, you made a pretty big jump. Cooking, I can't see your previous data, so if you want to just type it again, that'd be helpful. But I'm assuming if you're already at like 700, for example, jumping to 750, 760 is not. If anything, I'm gonna say it's statistically unlikely for you to get a 750, 760 in one test, unless you just haven't practiced the SAT that much. Okay. Like if you literally just started practicing the SAT like 1 or 2 weeks ago, then counterintuitively you may actually jump up 50 points in one day. In one day, but the reason you're jumping up 50 points is not because you're suddenly become that much smarter. It's because you were already that smart and you're just getting accustomed to the test format. So a lot of kids when they brag about, oh, I went from like 1350 to 1550 in like 1 month. The reason is not because they have some amazing study habit. It's because they were already doing all the studying at school. They were already putting in the work. They were reading hard texts and analyzing it, and then with the math, they were understanding the theory behind it. They actually put all the hard work into their studies already, so their natural ability was already close to like a 1550 level. But then when they first took the SAT, they got 1350 because they just had never seen something like an SAT before. So the questions were unfamiliar, the pacing, they don't know how to pace themselves and all that stuff. So obviously they would jump from 1350 to 1550 fairly quickly once they get used to the SAT format. So for those people, they can actually jump 50, 60 points in one day. But who are the kinds of people that can't jump 50, 60 points in one day? I mean, really, the people who've already been slogging, like you've been studying for the SAT for like a year, And over the last year, maybe you've gotten like 100 point or 200 point increase. In that situation, the bottleneck is not just knowing the SAT test format. The bottleneck oftentimes it's just your lack of familiarity with the English language. So you actually need to improve your familiarity with the English language. So So going back to cooking, I actually don't know your history. I don't really know. I don't know the then question, Patricia. I know exactly which one you're talking about. But that one, I'll come back. I'll come back around to that later. But cooking, the the other Ahmed. Hey, good to see you again. But cooking, you have 620 on English, and you mostly get it wrong. Oh, dude, vocab and grammar. There we go. Now we have some details. So you actually can, probably get like a 30-point increase. You probably could get a 30-point increase just by doing a couple of things differently, which is on the word and context questions, which is quote unquote the vocab questions, right? On the word and context questions, I strongly urge you to make predictions because even though we call them vocab questions, a lot of them are not actually vocab questions. They are they're called word and context questions technically, and the skill that they're testing a lot of times is not vocabulary per se. They're testing the skill of logical reasoning. So if I say something like a certain war, some of you guys may remember this question, a certain war has a blank place in the historical memory of Britain because because there was another war which had much larger repercussions for the country of Britain, and embroiled them in this and that and this and that other conflict. Then you have to just make a prediction. You have to make a prediction before you don't want to just jump straight into A and plug in A and look at B and plug in B and look at C and plug in C and look at D and plug in D. You don't want to do that right away. What you actually want to do is you want to take a pause and build your confidence at that moment. It's like, wait, this means that Britain doesn't remember this war, right? You need to just like lock that down first. And once you lock that down and you're like, it has a weak place in the historical memory, could be your prediction, right? Or you could even say something kind of redundant, which is like, it has a forgotten place in historical memory, which is like honestly not a great use of the word, but whatever. As long as you have something locked down that you like know what you're looking for, then shockingly, when you look at A, B, C, D, you'll just like see the right answer. And if you don't see the right answer, you'll usually see 3 wrong answers. Okay, unless your vocabulary is actually shit. If your vocab is actually garbage, right? If it's like a festering with maggots and you have your vocabulary is just like been neglected in the corner in some like dumpster somewhere, right? And you've just not been attending to it rather. If you're like, unless your vocabulary is actually terrible, just from your prediction, you should be able to eliminate 3 answers or even 2, or sometimes just if you're unlucky, 2 answers, right? And then you're in that 50-50 place. So make that prediction for word and context questions, and just from that, you should be able to get a couple questions right. And then for grammar, a lot of times, if you cooking, true or false, you can type this into the chat, or you can just think about it to yourself. And actually, this is a question for everybody: true or false. You, on your most recent practice test, you got a grammar question wrong, and when you looked back on it, you immediately knew what the right answer was. True or false? Okay, if that is true for you, you definitely can win a couple easy points back. Okay, if that's true for you, you can definitely win a quick 10 or 20 points. Okay, and the way to do that, guys, is to read the whole sentence. And when I say read the whole sentence, I have a specific term for this. Here, actually, for this, I'm gonna pull up an actual example passage, so that's easier for me to show you what I mean. So give me a moment. I'll open up Blue Book Practice Test 6, okay? Because I'm going to guess most people have done Practice Test 6 by now. Okay, give me a sec now. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay. This is question 16. Okay, from Blue Book Practice Test 6. Okay. So this is, again, going back to, I think, Cooking's question about, how to get a quick, like, realistically more like a 30 point improvement, okay? Just focusing on your grammar and vocabulary weaknesses, okay? I've already did a whole lecture about the vocabulary problems. Now I'm talking about the grammar. Guys, just, you don't have to say this out loud, but I'm gonna draw this little box here. You know what? I'll even do something simpler. Actually, let me do something simpler because it makes my point better if you do it simpler. Hang on. Is this simple? It's a long sentence. You know what? I'll just do it. Guys, how many sentences do I see? How many sentences do I see? I'll just wait about 10 more seconds starting now. How many sentences do I see? 3, 2, 1. Okay, everyone is saying 1. And this is a trick question. I actually see 4 because I see sentence A, sentence B, sentence C, and sentence D. And the thing is that what you guys do, what most kids do, is they look at this as a sentence, and then what they do is they look at these 4 answer choices, and they compare the answer choices. Okay, but I don't compare answer choices. Okay, I don't compare answer choices. I compare answer sentences. So this is answer choice A. But this plus A is answer sentence A. So long attributed to Jacques Louis David, the preeminent neoclassical painter of his day, the 1801 painting, Marie-Josephine Charlotte de gained fresh attention in the 1990s when art historians discovered that the painting, which depicts a solitary young woman sketching, was actually the work of little-known French portrait artist Marie Denise Villers. Okay? For me, that is one sentence. Now I have a second sentence. Long attributed to was actually the work of little-known French portrait artist Marie Denise Villers, right? And then this third sentence and the fourth sentence. And I know this might sound pedantic. But if you want to avoid the silly mistake where you make a mistake on writing and then you go back and review it and you instantly know the right answer, right? If you want to avoid those kinds of silly mistakes, it's coming from the fact that you're not actually reading the whole sentence. It's coming from the fact that you think you can just shortcut it by comparing things like, wait, isn't a dash the same as a colon? Or, that's not true, by the way, but isn't a dash the same as a colon? You eliminate this. You're not. And so if I watch your eyes are primarily jumping up, down here, whereas my eyes are like here, they're like looping around. So if the heat map of where your eyes are going is mostly around here, I'm telling you, you're going to make silly mistakes. Okay, so let me loop back around and summarize what I'm trying to say to Cooking, and then I'll switch over to someone else's question. But Cooking was asking me, he got a 620, he wants like at least a 650 is what I'm kind of aiming for realistically. How can you just get a quick improvement of 620 to 650 on the reading and writing? And where the weaknesses come out in the vocabulary and the grammar. Look, dude, it's not actually vocabulary and it's not actually grammar that's the problem for you, at least if not for those quick wins. For those quick wins, for the vocabulary, stop thinking about it as vocabulary. Think about it as logic and make a prediction for your answer before looking at ABCD. If you just make a prediction, okay? Okay. Like this, if you just make a prediction, the repudiation is a rejection of industrialization is shown in the handmade materials and the ornamentation, right? If you just make the prediction shown in, it becomes really easy to eliminate A and C and D, okay? And again, with the grammar, so with the word and context questions, make a prediction, and with the grammar, make sure to read the whole sentence. All I'll say with time, if you force yourself to solve it in 20 seconds, okay, I bet you're going to make more mistakes and you're going to keep handicapping yourself. There is no magic number. The problem with time is that let's just take a 500 scorer and an 800 scorer. And let's talk about two resources. There's two resources, two different people. Okay, the first resource is time. The second resource is confidence. Okay, when I say confidence, I mean confidence that when I make an answer choice, it is right. For an 800 scorer, oftentimes their problem is not they're not lacking the resource of time. They're lacking the resource of confidence, where they spend time on something. It could be 20 seconds, it could be 1 minute, it could be 2 minutes, but they still don't have the confidence that it's the right answer. And conversely, you know, you might think that someone who's scoring 500, the resource they're lacking is time. And the reason that time feels like the most important thing is because they literally cannot answer all 27 questions within time, because they're trying to understand it or whatnot, but they get completely overwhelmed. So then all these like textbook publishers and all these like YouTubers kind of come in like vultures, and they start teaching these 500 scorers what to do to manage their time. But the thing is that long term, managing your time is not going to make you better at reading and writing. What's going to make you better at reading and writing is learning to have high confidence answers. And you want to have high confidence answers. If you're a 500 scorer, you know, the SAT is composed of SAT reading and writing is composed of 54 questions. And some of them are easy, some of them are medium, some of them are hard. Like some of them are 500 score level questions. Some of them are 600 score level questions. Some of them are 700 score level questions. And some of them are 800 score level questions, right? If you are a 500 score question, if you are a 500 average student, then what you need to do is you need to stop thinking about time. Actually, I know it sounds really counterintuitive, but you need to stop thinking about time. You need to start thinking about confidence on the 500 and 600 level questions. And then the way you save time is by sacrificing the 700 and 800 level questions, the questions where the moment you read it, you're like, holy hell, I don't even know what this is trying to do. Like, there's no way in hell I can make a prediction for this kind of question. So you sacrifice those questions and then you use these little stupid tips, right? And you just move on. But you sacrifice those questions. You only waste and instead of spending 3 minutes on those questions, you literally spend a minute and a half on those questions, right? Instead, you invest more time on the quote unquote easy questions, right? So that's like one of your grammar questions. Yeah, a grammar question, an 800 score might take 20 seconds on it. And that might be right for the 800 score. But for a 600 score, you actually should be spending 50 seconds on it or 45 seconds on it, because those 25 seconds is going to get you to 600, right? Or get you to 650 or whatever, right? Because that 25 seconds is much more worth it than spending 2 minutes on question 13, which is like fucking hell, like fucking hard as hell, right? Like, let me actually show you one. You know, this is Blue Book 6. Oh yeah, Tmao. Like, you tell me if you imagine if you rush 3 grammar questions and you save like what, like 15 seconds each? So that's 45 seconds. You tell me if 45 seconds on the T-mile question, will 45 seconds on the T-mile question get you that question? I don't think so. Not if you're 620. This question is not aimed at 620 scorers. This question is aimed at like 750 or above scorers. And so the fact that you are even wasting, like instead of spending like 1 minute and 30 seconds on this to just make a guess, the fact that you're spending 3 minutes on this to try to get to try hard and then get it wrong, is a complete waste of time. That 1 minute and 30 seconds, you could actually. You should have actually spent that 1 minute and 30 seconds on the grammar questions instead. So time isn't just time for time's sake. Time is about investing that time into increasing the confidence on the questions that you should be getting right. So what are the questions that you should be getting right? It's the ones that feel like they're around 650 level for you. You need to get all the 650 level questions right. You need to sacrifice the 700 level questions and the 750 level questions and 800 level questions. And you just need to get those down to like a 50-50 and just make a guess or whatever. But then actually spend more time on the 650 level questions. So going back to cooking 800's question, no, you should not just force yourself to answer grammar questions under 20 seconds just because of the grammar question. You should think about where your level is and think about what the next step in your level is, okay? Just to use like a video game analogy, like if you are like if you played Elden Ring, it's been a while since I played a video game actually, to be honest, but like if you are like a level 3 wretch, okay? If you're like a level 3 wretch and you're trying to like fight one of those knights in Limgrave, with the shield, you're gonna get wrecked. You actually need to spend more time fighting like the little animals, like little farm up on the little animals, okay? And that's the same thing you should be thinking about when you're taking the SAT. Now, yes, so Bizarre, thank you for that little, I'm glad that I was able to help. And by the way, we do have some new viewers coming in, so I just wanted to do a quick announcement. Guys, if you're just coming into the stream, welcome to the stream, and please let everyone know, what was your first ever reading writing score? It could be a practice test or a PSAT or a real SAT, but like what was your first ever reading writing score and what's your current most recent practice test score? And if you are proud of your progress, then come share some tips. And if you have some concerns about your progress, then ask some questions. What's my lucky guess? Patricia, I don't actually do lucky guesses at my levels, but I think it's kind of useful for everyone else to share their lucky guess. I think the College Board tries to statistically make it even out over time. But everybody, just share your lucky guess. 720 tips for grammar. Let me talk about this real quick. Earlier, Ahmed Dediler asked a very quick question. How would you infer from prefixes and suffixes if you don't know the answer choices? You can't just infer from prefixes and suffixes. Prefix and suffix is actually a very advanced skill, and you need to spend quite a bit of time studying words before you can even really get to that level of inferring from prefixes and suffixes. So I would tell you not to worry too much about that technique and focus more on just instead of trying. Now if you know some etymology, if you know the prefixes and you know the suffixes, then yes, use it. But if you feel uncomfortable with it, honestly, it's better to just make a prediction and then just eliminate what. Make a prediction and then choose whatever matches your prediction. But if nothing matches your prediction, okay, then eliminate things that definitely don't match your prediction and then just do a 50-50. Okay, just make a guess and move on. Instead of trying to... Now, if you guess and you move on and then you finish all 27 questions of that module and then you come back to it and you have just a lot of extra time, then okay. Then dick around a little bit. Think about like percolate. I said percolate. Isn't collating for like printing, and isn't per like on a per basis, right? 1 by 1 printing. So maybe it's 1 by 1 printing. totally wrong, by the way. That's not what percolate means. It means dripping. but you know, fuck it, right? Just like if you have like hella time, if you have like a lot of time left over, then sure, go ahead and try it. Maybe it'll help you randomly, right? But if you if you don't know etymology, seriously, it's just like you're really just like trying to, you're just reading tea leaves at that point. Like you need to inferring from prefixes, suffixes, and etymology is like not easy at all. So I don't actually recommend spending time on it. Instead, spend time on analyzing the passage, breaking down the passage, figuring out the prediction, and then just eliminating anything that doesn't match the prediction. Okay, that's the most important thing you can do. All right. So now I'm going back to more recent questions. So I'm seeing. Bizarre Potato is saying, "Wow, damn, 340." And then 660. And then 600. Okay, that's a lot. Ooh, that's a big improvement though. So good job, Potato. Good job, Bizarre Potato. That's a big improvement, man. That's 260 point improvement. Even if I only focus on the 600 score, that's still a 260 point improvement in the last 4 months. So very, very good. And I would just say, Bizarre Potato, I actually, if you're at the 600 level right now, then if you're at the 600 level, actually, most of the things I said to, most of the things I said to MD, was it MD? No, for cooking. Most of the things I said for cooking earlier about predicting for the vocab questions and then reading the full answer sentence, not the answer choice, reading the full answer sentence is going to apply to you. If that's not enough, then, we can maybe try to detail a particular problem that you had, and we can talk about that more specifically. Let's see. We had Ahmed who is asking 720 tips for grammar, more advanced ones. Oof. More advanced grammar is hard to teach in like a quick last minute. Honestly, advanced grammar is something that you have to actually spend time to study. And right now it is the last night before the SAT. So I don't really know how much time you can spend studying. Now, if you have a specific question, if you have a specific question that isn't an unreleased exam, okay, please don't share questions from unreleased exams here. That could get me in trouble. It could get you in trouble. Okay. But if you have a question from like a blue book or a practice test that you've seen, then I'm happy to discuss that. Okay. So advanced grammar. Let me see if I can quickly remember if there was one that was kind of hard. See, this one isn't even like hyper hard. But like people get this one wrong because they literally don't do that thing I was telling cooking a little bit ago. I was telling cooking, guys, just stop treating this like one sentence, 4 answer choices. Instead, treat this like 4 different sentences. Okay? If you treat this like 4 different sentences, you're going to do better because you're going to realize that actually you're making a lot of silly mistakes, guys. The reason why you want to say intends, most people want to choose D, okay? They want to choose D because they want to say American abstract artist Richard Serra intends his installations to make passersby keenly aware of how one's movement are affected. And what you don't want to do is your brain is tired, right? So you don't really want to read the rest of the sentence. And so if that sounds right to you, you just choose it and you move on. But then what happens? Then you get it wrong and then you go back and review it and then you see that the answer is C. And then for the first time, oh my God, sorry. Thank you. Okay, one more time. Please don't treat this like one sentence and 4 answer choices, okay? Treat this like 4 answer sentences. Answer sentence A. Oops. One more time. Answer sentence A, answer sentence B, answer sentence C, answer sentence D. okay? Stop treating it like one sentence with 4 answer choices. Treat it like 4 different sentences. And when you do that, you're gonna avoid that whole problem where he intends his installations to make keenly aware of the movements, blah, 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 and be like, oh, that's right. I'm not going to read the rest of the sentence, right? The correct answer is actually C, because why? Because this is the subject. American abstract artist Richard Serra assembles these things, and this whole thing in between is just a modifier. Okay, it's a modifier. It is a participial phrase, to be specific. It's a participial phrase. Okay, but it's not because you didn't know that that's how it works. It's because you're not reading the whole sentence. Okay, so it's much more worth it to spend 10 more seconds, not even 10 more seconds, dude. This is like literally like 7 more seconds to read the rest of the sentence. It's much more worth it to read the 7 seconds and get it high confidence, right? Than to save 7 seconds and then to just like be arrogantly high confidence, right? But actually, the likelihood of you being wrong is actually pretty high because you didn't even read the whole sentence, right? So it's much more worth it to spend that 7 seconds to increase that confidence on that question. Okay, so yeah. So Ahmed is asking about titles, so I'll talk about that in a bit, but I did miss President Shorts earlier, so I'm going to swing back around to President Shorts. Guys, how to improve reading. Huge reading texts, module 2. Oh, it's pretty big. President, my main question right now is, first, actually, I don't think you shared your scores, so everybody, before you ask a question, and again, we might have some new visitors to the I can't speak right now. New people coming into the stream. So if you're just coming into the stream right now, please, everybody, just share your first ever reading writing score and your most recent reading writing score, and what you're struggling with. Okay, share your first ever reading writing score in the chat, your most recent reading writing score, and what you're struggling with. So going back to President Shorts, I'll just wait until you say that because it depends on what you need to focus on. And depending on your score level, you might have to focus on different things. Okay. Okay. And by the way, guys, if you have tips for each other, that you should feel free to chat with each other as well. I would say that 1,600 minutes on Khan. That's a lot of minutes. You might be not spending enough time reflecting on why the questions are right. Like, you might not be spending enough time thinking about the reasoning. You might be focusing on that one passage when you review. When you get a question wrong, you might just review that passage for like 5 minutes, or not even 5 minutes, right? Probably like 2-3 minutes, right? You just review that one passage, but you might not be asking yourself, why is B wrong and why is C right? Okay, and that is the beginning. You need to learn why. If the answer choice was actually C and not B, then you need to learn why it's C and why it's not B. You need to learn that part. But then you can't stop there. You have to think, what was I doing wrong that made me choose B, right? And if you're not doing that reflection, and if you're only thinking about that question, right? That has gross. That's never happened to me before. I just ate my own hair. It's crazy. Anyway, what was I saying? Whenever you're reviewing questions on Khan Academy, 1,600 minutes, a lot of minutes on Khan Academy, right? Whenever you're reviewing on Khan Academy, if the only thoughts that are going through your head is this question, that question, that question, and you're not thinking, I was doing that, I was thinking this, I wanted that, I thought this. If you're not really linking the question back to yourself, then you're not really going to change. And if you don't change, then your score is not going to change either, right? Your score, at least not consciously, you're not going to be able to consciously produce change. You're only going to be able to unconsciously, subconsciously improve just because of sheer volume of practice. But as you guys probably know, sometimes you can really practice in a dumb way where you practice the same thing over and over and over again. You don't actually get better. Why? Because you might be doing a lot of work, but you're not doing enough reflection. So again, when you're reviewing a practice test, or when you're reviewing a question set, how much of that time is being spent on just doing the work, focusing on the questions, and how much of that time is being spent on reflection, on me, on what I was trying to do, and what mistake I made, right? You want to make you need to make that linkage between those two things. Okay, so going back to president first. President was going from 650 to 670, I guess, or something like that. I can't really tell. Oh no, 670 to 650, and struggles reading math. Okay, no, but if you're you're not scratching 700. So right now we still have Bizarre Potato and President Shorts, and a bunch of you who are struggling to get to scratch 700. If you're struggling to get 700, hang on, let me think about this. Actually, if you're struggling to hit 700, I'm gonna make a general guess, and you tell me how hot or cold am I, right? How true or not true this is. How hot or cold am I? Guys, module 2, let's find a hard question real quick. This is Blue Book Practice Test 6, okay? I'm gonna guess everyone has solved Blue Books 1 through 6, so you guys know what this is, okay? For us, if you're a 650 level student and you're not scratching 700, let me put on the, now that I think about it, I've been recently teaching Blue Book Practice Test 6 only to kids who are above 700, so give me a moment. I need to put on my 650 hat, okay, and just remember what the 650 kids would do here. Here we go. Feeding behaviors of wild lions with those of captive lions in Spain. Okay. If you're a 650 scorer, there's still not a huge danger, but there's a minor danger that you just see lions, and you think it's the same topic, okay? But that's a bigger danger when you're around 600. Usually if you're around 650 to 700, then you should clearly see these are two different lions, but some of you 600 to 650 scorers are literally just saying lions, and you're just thinking, oh, I don't know, like Tanzanian lions and Spanish lions or something like that. You're just like not noticing the characters, okay? Wild lions versus captive lions, okay? Now, again, if you're 650, that's not the main problem. The researchers noticed that previous studies focused on other carnivores, showing that regular intervals, okay. You know what? If you are a 650 scorer, your grammar is not good enough to break this sentence down. How many lines is a sentence? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines, right? 8 lines. It's actually 8 lines. It's an 8-line. It's an 8-line sentence. Your grammar is too weak to break this sentence down. So if you're a 650 scorer, what you're gonna do is you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Why are we talking about other carnivores? And you're gonna get overwhelmed. Because it's going to start now, not only are you thinking about 2 different lions, now you're thinking about other carnivores. And then it says this as is common in captive settings. And you're not even going to remember to connect this back to captive lions and then try and build this connection that this is all talking about the same thing. And by the time you read the words may inadvertently facilitate the development of novel, you're going to be like, holy hell. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to quit and you're going to start plugging in answers. Okay? And when you plug in answers, you're going to look at A, and then you're going to look for extensive gnawing and nutrient extraction, and then you're going to be like, wait, it never talks about gnawing or nutrient extraction. So then you're going to say, oh, it doesn't talk about gnawing, it doesn't talk about nutrient extraction, therefore it's off topic, and you're going to eliminate the correct answer. Okay? Guys, this question I would consider around a 720 level question. Okay, a 720 level question. So if you are a 650 scorer trying to hit a 700 score, I would say this one, you do not actually want to spend 3 minutes to get this one right. You want to spend around 2 minutes to get this to 50-50. Okay? You want to spend 2 minutes to get this to 50-50 because if you are a 650 just scratching you're just trying to scratch 700, dude, this is not worth trying to get like a 100%. Yes. Okay. So how do you get to 50-50 on a question like this? Bros, literally, this is the classic skill that you guys fail to use when you are in the between 600 and 700. Guys, it's okay not to understand everything. Okay? It's okay not to understand everything, but you must, especially if you're trying to hit 700, you must at least understand the transitions. So, please identify transitions. Okay, so first transition is we have a comparing of wild lions to captive lions in their feeding behavior. What is this? This is kind of, actually, it's interestingly, it's a little unclear, but it's like a research question. The research question is, how do the feeding behaviors of wild lions and captive lions differ? That's the research question. Then you move. This is the really unusual thing about this passage. Most passages go straight from the research question into methodology. But are we in methodology right now? No. We actually go into research discussion or background. Okay, I'm going to call it background. But I don't like background because it makes it sound too broad. So actually, I will go into, hang on, let me try to remember. In technically, we call it like literature review or previous literature. Okay, but what that means is it's the discussion around this same question. The discussion around the same question that has previously existed before this research, okay? So, you know what, we'll just call that previous studies, okay? Let's call that previous studies. Previous studies show that, okay, regular intervals, which is common in captive settings, okay? And at that moment, you need to make that connection back to captive lions. Regular intervals of feeding leads to something. Okay? Leads to something. Do you need to know what this is the first time you read it if you're a 650 scorer? No, you don't. You just need to get, maybe this idea is repetitive or whatever, but it's okay. You just need to know that it's leading to something. That means that previous research believes that captive lions will do this something. Now I see this word by, and now I see mechanism. Okay? By reducing this is like the reason why it leads to the repetitive behavior, or the stereotypical behavior, okay? That's the mechanism. Okay, then they were not surprised to find that the repetitive behavior made the captive lions, right? And your prediction at this point should be made the captive lions do the purposelessly repetitive thing. Okay, so let me simplify the overall structure here. If you are a 650 scorer, I do not expect you to understand this when you first read it. But I do expect you to understand that regular feeding is equal to captive. And how are you going to do that? You're going to do that by understanding that this part is the research question, and then this part is previous studies. And obviously, the previous studies should connect back to the research question somehow. And so you just need to find that connection here. Okay? And as long as you can find that connection, then this whole thing about the novel stereotypic behavior, which is like, honestly, we can just call it N, because we don't even know what N is. It's just confusing. Novel, blah, 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 blah. Whatever this thing is, whatever this like regular feeding captive lion thing is, it's going to lead to N, right? Therefore, they are not surprised to find that the captive lions do the N, okay? And as long as you have that roughly in your head, you can go ahead and make a 50-50 guess. This talks about captive lions, so I will save this. This talks about male, female, so wrong. Like it's not even part of the passage. Okay. This says repeated behaviors. Okay. This says repeated behaviors, so we can keep this. And this says stereotypic behaviors. And this says stereotypic behaviors. Okay, actually, this one you can get lucky. You can actually process eliminate back down to A, mainly because the reason you can eliminate C and D both is because they both say similar, and they both do stereotypic. Okay, so it doesn't do a contrast. It makes the wild and the captive seem like they're doing the same thing. So then you would just make a guess at this point. You make a guess at this point. You just have to choose this one, even though you don't understand. Okay, that was actually really hard. Now that I see that again, I think for a 650 student, this might be really hard. So probably not the best example to go for a 650 student. But if I still try to distill down to the main skill, and I think you guys should think about this on your own. The main skill that even if you're a 650 student, there's a strategy and then there's a skill, okay? The skill first is that you should always be identifying the transitions and then try to connect these ideas, okay? Between the transitions. As long as you could have connected captive lions to the regular intervals, okay, then you should be able to say something about captive lions, okay, by the end of the passage. Now, that is a very hard skill, and this is a very hard passage for a 650 student. So I want to go back to the strategy. The strategy, though, is that you have to remember that this is very likely beyond your level. I think this is like a 720 level question. So what you want to do is at that point, as a 650 student, you just want to minimize the time. You don't want to spend 3 minutes, okay, to try to get one answer. You want to spend 2 minutes to try to get 50-50 and just move on. And how do you know it's too hard? You know it's too hard because you're literally reading it and you're lost, okay? In that case, just go for that 50-50, move on. Now, I'm going to go back to Bizarre Potato is saying, When you can't catch the essence of a passage in like an inference question, it's annoying and you're second. Yeah. When you can't catch the essence, what you want to do, bizarre potato, is just make a 50-50 and move on for now. And just remind yourself, like bizarre potato, I think you're trying to get 700, right? To get a 700, you literally can get like it depends on the test, but these days the test is getting harder. So previously on like Blue Books 1 through 4, you can get like 7, 8 questions wrong. I'm going to guess on tomorrow's test, you'll probably be able to get 10 questions wrong and still get a 700. Okay, that's being optimistic. But let's say that you can still get 8 questions wrong. You can only get 8 questions wrong to get a 700. All right, dude. Do you know how many 8 questions is? 8 questions means you can get like 1 question wrong on module 1 and 7 questions wrong on module 2. Okay? So what that means is you literally can like think about it. How many questions is 7 questions, guys? This one, don't skip this one. I feel like you can solve this. This one, don't skip this one. I feel like you can solve this. This one is because the vocabulary is kind of hard. Sacrifice this. We just sacrificed 1 out of 7. This one, very hard to understand. Sacrifice this. This is 2 out of 7. This one, you could probably figure it out. This one, you could probably figure it out. It will take some time, but you will. This one, you could you will figure this out. This one's not too hard. This one will take a lot of time. Sacrifice this. That's 3 out of 7. Right? This one is pretty hard. If you're good at math, though, this actually would be not that hard. But it depends on you. This is maybe a sacrifice or maybe not a sacrifice, right? But like, seriously. If you want to get a 700, there are literally 7 questions you can totally sacrifice. It's okay to get 50-50 on them, right? Just be like, okay, I think I get it. If you read it and you can make a prediction, it's at your level. If you read it and you cannot make a prediction, then it's not at your level. It's beyond you. Okay? Sacrifice it. All right? So again, if you're a math student, if you're strong at math, then you should be able to read this, and this would be actually not that hard. Okay, it would be not that hard if you're strong at math. So I'm not going to sacrifice this one. You read this one, you can definitely get this one right. You just need to take some time. You read this one. This one can be kind of finicky. This one, though, you will generally feel like you know what this is saying. So you're probably not going to sacrifice this one because you're going to feel like you know what it's saying, but you might get lost in the answer choices, which is reasonable, okay? So don't sacrifice that one. This one, you're going to read and you're not going to understand it. You're going to be like, you're going to try to predict. You can't predict it. Sacrifice this one. We just sacrificed 4 out of 7 only. And we're at question 12, man. Keep going. This one, you're not going to, when you read this, it's going to feel a little overwhelming, okay? But you're going to feel like you probably understand this like 70%. You're going to feel like you kind of understand this, so you're going to try it. You're not going to sacrifice it. You might waste a little bit of time, though, unfortunately. You're probably not going to sacrifice the one because you're going to feel like you know what you're doing, even though the answer choices will be a bitch, okay? So you may or may not sacrifice that one. This one, you'll read this, and you might actually have to sacrifice it. You'll read it, and you'll be like, what the hell is it saying? I can't predict the answer. Sacrifice this one. We only sacrificed 5 out of 7 so far. Keep going. Now we're already at... Now we can sacrifice 2 more, dude, and you can still get a 700. You know what I mean? Like, what? That's a lot of sacrificing we just did. We sacrificed all the hardest questions. You know? And so I said, actually, so there were 2 questions I said that they're really hard to answer because the answer choices are complicated, right? But actually, but you're not going to actually sacrifice. You know what? Even if you sacrifice those 2, that's still only 7 sacrifices. Now we just made 7 sacrifices. And if you just sacrifice them, you can just move on to the next question. And then by the end of module 2, you'll be surprised that you actually have a little bit of extra time left over, okay? And as long as you do that, you can actually take your time on the questions that are at your level. Okay? Because remember, not every question is important for you. Okay? There are some questions that are 600 level, some questions that are 700 level, and some questions that are 800 level, right? So focus on the ones you need to spend the time on the questions that are at your level, and you need to just make guesses on the questions that are beyond your level. Okay. Lumens, welcome to the stream. And again, I'm happy to help, but and I think you're just generally agreeing with me. That's cool. But hey, I'm just welcome to the stream. Anybody who's just getting in right now. I'm gonna wrap up very soon, but actually, I will just say. Actually, I do have to wrap up very soon, so I'm gonna go into sort of like mental prep now. Okay. All right. This is a little lecture I've done before on a YouTube video before. But I'm just gonna say, guys, what's up, AR? I'm gonna say, guys, there's basically three things. There's a whole video I did on this in the past. It's pretty long-winded, and I think I was exhausted when I did it, so I'm gonna do a sort of new version of it. But when it comes to like the final hour leading up to the SAT, I want you to think of the three C's. Okay. The three C's are confidence, clockwork, and cosmic irony. Now, I'll just explain what I mean. Confidence. Guys, the most valuable resource you have going into the test tomorrow is not just like some random vocab word that you're going to memorize today. Okay? The most valuable resource that you have right now is not going to be some grammar lesson that you just get today. Okay? You will feel like it's worth it because tomorrow you might see it and then you get that little dopamine beat boost. Oh my God, I just studied it yesterday. I'm so lucky. It came out today, right? And that's going to give you that dopamine boost, and it's going to validate that feeling of like having to do like last minute studying. But that is not a consistent way of improving yourself. Okay? The most important resource for you today and tomorrow is your confidence. And how do you build your confidence? You build your confidence with very easy exercises. Go and review the things that you have already learned and remind yourself of all of the things that you've learned in the last month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever. Go back over your notes if you took notes. If you didn't take notes, just skim through your past practice tests and remind yourself of how stupid you used to be 2 months ago. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I got this one wrong before, but now I'm so much smarter. Oh my God, I know all the reasons. I know exactly why this is right now, right? Just do these little nice things for yourself because it'll boost your confidence. Also, just whatever thing there is in your environment right now. It could be your parents, it could be other students, it could be your Discord server that your friends are in. Whatever things there are in your environment that are adding to your stress, that's definitely not helping your confidence. Just block them out. Block them out. Just tell them, sorry, I'll reply to you tomorrow or something like that. But just start blocking out distractions and just put yourself in a place where anything that might drop your confidence, okay, it has no effect on you. Another thing you can do, and this is kind of more psychological, but another thing you can do is you can just think about your own strengths. You can just remind yourself, hey, what is my goal for tomorrow? How confident am I that I'm going to make... So let's actually, everybody take like 10 seconds. Think of like your actual goal for tomorrow. Just think about it to yourself. What's your goal for tomorrow? Okay, that's time. Hey, how confident are you that you can make your goal for tomorrow? Okay, and if your confidence is actually not that high just now, then here's what I want you to do. I want you to scale down that goal. I want you to change your goal to something that feels more achievable. Okay? For example, if you said that your goal for tomorrow is like get a 780 or above, okay? And then when I asked you how confident you are that you're going to get that goal, and you were like, oh my God, I'm only like 50% confidence. You know what? Change your goal. Because You're not going to get that much smarter between now and tomorrow anyway. But what you can do is you can psychologically trick yourself into feeling better and just change your goal. Change your goal to something that feels like that makes you feel confident. Okay? So if it was 780 and you're 50% confidence, maybe 750, you're 80% confidence, right? Change your goal. The paradoxical thing is that by making yourself more confident, you will paradoxically do better than you even think. Okay? But by constantly putting pressure on yourself, oh, I have to get the score, and if I don't get the score, then I'm gonna get disowned, and then my parents are gonna sell my BMW, like whatever, right? Like if you keep pressuring yourself, you're actually not gonna perform better. So paradoxically, just do whatever increases your confidence, and talk to yourself in a way that increases your confidence. Okay, that's confidence. Number 2, clockwork. Clockwork. The most dangerous thing that could happen tomorrow is that you go into that test tomorrow, okay? And let's say that up until today, you were solving all your practice tests in a sort of consistent way, where you maybe started with the writing, and then you went into the reading, or maybe you do it like me. You go start with the reading, and then you do the writing, and then you come back to the reading, whatever, right? You have a certain way of solving the test, and you've practiced it over the last 2 months, right? Well, what is the nightmare scenario, guys? The nightmare scenario is that on module 2, questions 1 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 are all very hard. Okay? And what happens is you start panicking. So that question 3 makes you feel worse. But because question 3 makes you feel worse, you go into question 4 and you feel like you have to rush even more. And then question 4 makes you feel worse, so that when you go into question 5, you feel like you have to rush even more, right? And it just compounds. And then when you start, and then you get to a certain point where you're like, holy shit, I am bombing this so hard, I'm going to try a new strategy that I've never tried ever in my life before. You know what I'm going to start doing? And people come up with different strategies, but I heard that it's good to speed read by using your finger and just pointing down the center of the passage or some shit like that, right? And you've never ever done this in the last 2 months, but suddenly you have the brilliant idea that doing something that you've practiced over 2 months is worse than doing something that you've never practiced, right? And you're going to have this new magical solution that just occurred to you that moment because God himself spoke to you on Saturday at 10 a.m. when you were in the middle of a panic, right? That this is the right way, that you need to change the way you're taking the test. Guys, that is a total nightmare scenario. You cannot change the way you solve the test on the day of the test and assume it's going to get any better than what you were doing previously. Okay? So, clockwork is about taking your test-taking process and laying down step by step exactly what you're going to do, and then putting it to a rhythm where you're like tick tock, and every moment, like every 10-second interval, you're doing a question in the same way that you've done it before. For me, I'll tell you what my clockwork system is. I read the blurb. I read the passage. I identify transitions. I identify relationships. I read the question stem. I make a prediction. And that means that my reading process is usually slower than you guys. But then I have a prediction. This prediction isn't always a perfect prediction. It's just a rough prediction. Then I look at ABCD very quickly. I don't try to read every single word of it. Instead, I'm scanning for words that are synonyms of my prediction. So what I call that step, I call that the match step. So I'm trying to match my prediction. Again, I'm not reading all of A and all of B and all of C and all of D. I'm actually scanning ABCD for synonyms of my prediction. Right? I'm looking for keywords that I was thinking about. And I focus on those first. So if I see that B has a similar wording as the one I was thinking in my head, I start with B. If D has a similar wording to what I was thinking in my head, I start with D. Okay, that's my match step. Once I have my matched, then I do a defense. I try to defend all parts of that answer choice. If that is my answer, I just choose it. I move on. I don't even do process elimination. But sometimes I can't match an answer right away. If I can't match an answer, then I go back to A, read all of A. I measure my confidence, process elimination. B, read all of B, measure my confidence, process elimination. C, measure my confidence, process elimination. D, measure my confidence, process elimination. That's process elimination. I do it only once. Once I do the process elimination only once, if I still don't have an answer, then I do one last guess. I double check the passage, I double check the question, I make a new prediction, I make a new match. If I can't make them, I just choose something and I move on. Okay? And I will bookmark it, obviously. I bookmark it and I move on. And that is my clockwork system. I do every question in the exact same way. I never change the way I do a question, because if I change the way I do a question, then that means that's additional decision making that I have to do on the day of the test. But on the day of the test, that's pressure. There's other people in that same room. There's proctors. It's nerve wracking. Now it's the real score that's going to come out. There's so many things that could go wrong. You don't know how, like, you're on question four, but you don't know how hard question 5 and 6 and 7 are going to be. So it's not, there's so many things that can go wrong on the real test. So I don't want to give myself the luxury of making a new decision. I'm just going to commit to solving every single question in the same way that I've been solving it over the last 2 or 3 months. I've been building up my system, and now I'm going to just run it like clockwork. It's just like I wrote my code. I'm going to deploy that code, and if it breaks, it breaks. But hopefully, I coded it in a way where it can self-correct. Right? Clockwork. Tick tock, nothing changes on the day of the test. Okay? If you have a brilliant idea, then maybe you write a note and you save that brilliant idea for the next test, but not on this test. On this test, you're going to be boring as fuck. You're going to solve it in the same way you've always solved it. Okay? That's the second C. That's clockwork. And the third C. The third C is cosmic irony. Okay? Again, when it comes to preparing your mentality for the test tomorrow, guys, just chill out a little. Cosmic irony, what does that mean? Cosmic irony is one of the 3 ironies that you learn in like literature classes. Okay, there's verbal irony, where the wording that you're using doesn't match the meaning, right? So if I say something sarcastic, oh, you're a genius. My words are saying you're a genius, but my intention is to make you not feel like a genius, right? That's verbal irony. And then there's dramatic irony, where the audience knows what's about to happen, but the characters don't know what's about to happen. So there's a gap, okay? There's a gap between the characters' understanding and our understanding. So that's dramatic irony. And cosmic irony, okay? Cosmic irony is there's a gap between how important everything seems to you right now, and then when you zoom out and when you think about your current situation, like imagine yourself right now, like taking a camera, and this camera is kind of like hovering over your head right now, and imagine just dragging that camera out. Now we're dragging out to the level where you can see your house. Then we're dragging out to a level where you can see your neighborhood. Now we're dragging out to a level where you can see your city. Now we can see your state, your region, your country. Now we can see your continent, and now we can see Earth itself. And when you think about the little struggle that you're having to push your stupid score from 1550 to 1570, and when you think about all the suffering that's happening in the world, and when you think about all the other things that are happening in the world around you, right? And really, you're just stressed out. Like, you want to go to USC, but you're afraid you're going to have to go to UCLA. Like, in the whole scheme of things, like, how important is that? Really, right? There's a gap between how important, like, these little things that are in front of us, and we think it's so important. But actually, if you're a good person, and you're smart, and you're motivated, and you're kind to people so that other people want to be nice to you too, dude, things are going to work out. You know what I mean? It's going to work out. Even if you go to UCLA instead of USC, things are gonna work out. You know what I mean? If you just study, you put the work in, it's gonna work out. You don't have to like fucking try hard at everything and you have to squeeze every 10 points out of life, you know? As long as you keep a good perspective, things are gonna work out. And that gap between how important these little things feel, you know, when you're at the test center and some dude next to you is just breathing too heavily, and then you get all pissed off because this guy is breathing like he's having an orgasm or something, and you're like, God, you think about it, you're so annoyed. But at the end of the day, what does it matter? The guy is just breathing heavily because dude's a pre-diabetic, man. Just let him be. You know what I mean? Like, it's his life, dude. He has his own problems. You know, like, who cares, right? Just let it go. It's not that important in the whole scheme of things, right? So it's just keeping things in perspective. I mean, and you know what the shocking thing is? A lot of you guys are seniors. Tomorrow's the October SAT, right? A lot of you guys are seniors. You already took the August SAT. Guys, in August SAT, you might have gotten a 15. You might have gotten a 1490. Annoying score. You know, 1490, so close to 1500. Annoying score. And think about it. What if you get a 1490 tomorrow? What if you get a 1490 tomorrow? Is it the end of your life? It really isn't, guys. And I think that's really the thing you need to remind yourself when you get into the test tomorrow. And the whole scheme of things, if you're intelligent, you work hard, you're good to people, good things happen. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, maybe not next month, maybe not even next year. Maybe you might have a whole year of shittiness, you know, because that's just a fate that is waiting for you because of, I don't know, family or finances or your country's political situation, whatever, right? You might have a whole year of just shit happening to you. But if you're a good person, you try hard, you're smart, dude, you can make it. You can make it. Bizarre Potato, there are other ways to impress your crush. I guarantee you that crush has other ways to be impressed. Not just that squad. You know what I mean? I know you're probably just joking, but still. So cosmic irony is the third C. One more time. Last wrap up. The 3 C's that I want to remind you before going into SAT is confidence. Don't do anything that harms your confidence. Only do things that increase your confidence, like reminding yourself of the good things that you've been doing over the last 2 months to prepare yourself, okay? And even adjust your goal to make your confidence go up. Okay. The second one is clockwork. Whatever you do tomorrow, the worst thing you can do is panic and start changing the way you solve the test and adding more decision level complexity. Instead, just make it simple. Have one way of solving things and just believe in it and commit to it. Just punt that ball, dude. Just kick that ball, man. Just believe in it and just put all that belief into that system and just kick it. And then the third thing is cosmic irony. Remind yourself that this is not the end-all be-all. Even if you are a senior, okay? This is not the end-all be-all. Life has mysterious ways. There are ways to succeed. And it's not always the same way that your cousin succeeded. That like your Indian mom, right, is like constantly getting on your ass because your Indian cousin got into like MIT because he had this score and that extracurricular, and you are always just under his level, right? Who cares at the end of the day, you know? Show compassion to your mom. She knows what she knows. She doesn't know the whole world. She knows what she knows, right? So just let her be. Your life is in your hands, okay? Your life is in your hands. Things will work out. Just focus on what matters, okay? All right, that's it for me. I will end the stream, but I will before I go to sleep, I'll do a quick sweep of the chat in the Discord server. So I know I wasn't able to get to everyone's Hang on. I know I wasn't able to get to everyone's questions at the very end, but I'm hoping that what I was able to say was helpful for you guys to just sort of like orient yourself mentally towards the test tomorrow. So good luck, everyone, tomorrow. All of the work that you've paid off, all of the work that you've put into the SAT in the last month or 2 or 3 or 4, I hope it pays off. The best way to make it pay off is by keeping perspective and committing to a plan and keeping your confidence up. Good luck. I love you guys. Kick some ass tomorrow. Bye.